This is the Entrepreneur Podcast, where we have the privilege of interviewing entrepreneurs and business owners here in the Pacific Northwest. I am your host, Isaac Schaefer.
And I am your co-host, Drew West. You ready to get into it, man?
Let's go. Bryan Reynolds, owner of Anthem Coffee and aspiring business coach and public speaker and so much more. We are so excited to have you here today. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah,
Isaac,
man,
so grateful. Drew, this is going to be fun to hang and excited to share our story, my story, and just serve your audience however we can. Let's go.
Well, we're excited as well, man. So let's start with your story. Like, tell us how you got into coffee. I moved here in 2015, and I don't remember the exact year Anthem started, but I remember when I saw the first Anthem, and then all of a sudden you guys were just blowing up. I saw you guys. I can't even remember which one was your first Anthem and what year was that.
Yeah, I'll take you right back.
Yeah, you start
the
where you
whole
want to start.
Journey really started.
Let's go.
December 8th of 2006.
Okay.
That's when we actually bought into a local franchise called Forza Coffee.
Oh,
you may
sure.
remember
Yep.
it. You know, it was this cool little Italian-themed chain that was coming up on the scene here locally. There was about 8 stores at the time we got interested. We were the 10th store in that franchise. We launched, like I said, December 8th, 2006, signed a 5-year agreement, just went hard in the paint under that brand, through that whole time. And but truthfully, it was through that vehicle of being a part of a franchise and learning business, that we got the chops as a family. That was one of our big first risks as a family. And the reason we wanted to do a business, to be honest, was because my mom and dad had just recently fostered a little 5-year-old girl who, by the age of 5, this little girl had been through 12 different foster homes.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And so my parents felt this pull to just do something to impact and change the course of her life. So that was, again, if I take another step back, we played it so safe growing up. We never really took risks. My dad spent 33 years at Camping World as a career. So Camping World's in Fife, and we moved up from San Diego when I was about 8 years old to Washington. I was a blonde-headed little skateboard kid, and as soon as we landed here, it was like the rain hit my hair and it turned dark, and I fell in love with the PNW, dude. I love the mountain. I actually love the rain. But now that I'm 40, I'm like, I like the sunshine more. So we'll get to that point.
I'm from SoCal as well, and I've never gotten over the rain, man. It's still, I'm popping vitamin D all winter.
Yeah, no doubt. So, the ambition for doing a small business or any kind of business with my folks was in an effort to get my dad to retire sooner, be more involved and invested in this little girl's life. But the fact is, they went on to foster 8 kids, adopt 4 of them. So I have 3 sisters and a brother. I've always wanted. I did grow up with my sister, Allie, and she's part of the biz right now. One of my adopted sisters, Haley, is in the game too as a barista. But yeah, it's a family affair, man. And ultimately, my dad was able to retire sooner. And then the business just became this wild thing that involved all hands on deck, right? Like just a role for everyone. So
I want to hear more about your story, but why coffee? That's a question.
I don't know. To be honest with you, it was like, if we never grew up drinking coffee at home. The only thing I remember,
Really?
I'm dead serious. We didn't.
Sure.
The only recollection I have of coffee was going to my grandparents' house, and the smell of old people and Folgers was kind of like, that was it. Like I had no desire to, and my first encounter with coffee was actually an experience at Starbucks as a senior in high school. Starbucks was all the rage. All the high schoolers were skipping school and going there like 3 times a day. And I was like, I just got to see what all the rage is about here. What is all this coffee fuss? So went there, checked it out, ordered a caramel macchiato. I couldn't pronounce it off the deal. But realized, whatever, it didn't do anything for me at that moment. Fast forward, went to a job fair as a senior in high school and ended up landing a job at a bank. That didn't make enough money there, so I got a job at Best Buy. Didn't make enough money there, so I was told by some buds, hey, there's this coffee stand, Cutter's Point, like you make bank in tips. And I was trying to save up money for a ring for my junior high sweetheart. So I was working 3 jobs to try to bank some money. And, I was living on my own, just had graduated from high school. And really in that moment was when coffee blew my mind. I'd only drink like hot chocolates as a barista there in that drive-through. And this one morning, as I was making my like Irish cream hot chocolate with regular chocolate and white chocolate, somebody accidentally put 2 shots of espresso in there. And as I drank that bad boy, immediately it went from a hot chocolate and became a mocha. And as it's hitting my brain, I'm seeing the future and going, I love the way I feel, bro. Like, it all changed for me at that point. And the next 2 years, what was interesting is I actually went into full-time ministry. I helped to plant a church out here in Tacoma in the Proctor district called Journey Community Church. It's still alive today, but did that. And I wore so many different hats, and I learned so much about the entrepreneurial spirit and building teams of people and driving something by a mission, right? And just inspiring people to kind of be united and like, let's go do this thing together, which really has served me well as we built our coffee business. So after those 2 years, my wife was working at Delano's Coffee Roasters, and that's when she heard about Forza Coffee coming up on the scene. So that's when we jumped into that business, served our 5 years as a franchisee. And then at the end of the 5 years, there was no non-compete that we signed, nothing that forced us to have to stay there. We were able to become our own brand, and that's when Anthem was born.
So it was 2011?
Yeah, you nailed it.
2011.
And it actually fell on November 1st, 2011. So 11/1/11, which is kind of dope.
Nice, yeah.
That's awesome.
So we became Anthem, never looked back, man. It's been 17 years since we entered the coffee game and have had so many opportunities there's a thing called Coffee Fest, an actual festival of coffee. It's a trade show. And so have had chances to go and speak there and serve other coffee entrepreneurs and teach them kind of our best secrets and how we've built business and been successful. Man. In fact, breaking news on Monday, this would be May 29th of 2023, just to timestamp it. We will be acquiring 2 coffee businesses in Arizona, West Phoenix.
Let's go.
And going from
Love
having
it.
7 stores to 9 and just, over 100 employees now. And it's just, I'm excited. So
That's incredible.
kind of new frontiers, man. We're out here just growing and going.
And those will be your first your first Anthems out of Washington, right?
Yeah. Full on locations. We'll work on a game plan to kind of flip them into Anthems. They are another brand at this moment, but we've had lots of experience over the years of taking existing coffee shops and then anthemizing them.
Anthemizing.
Yeah.
Love it. So I
excited.
got a question kind of on the business side a little bit. So you obviously expanded rather quickly. The same, right? I would see a couple stores and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, there's a bunch of these stores. There's obviously growing pains that happen with expansion, right? You're taking all the good problems and bad problems and multiplying them.
You nailed it. Yep.
So can you maybe talk about some of those struggles in the expansion process? And then what did you do to kind of mitigate them?
Yeah. Great question, Drew. I like that. It seemed, because there was a window of about 3 years leading up to 2020 where if you look at our history, 2006 to 2011, we had 1 store. 2011, when Anthem was born, we added only 1 other store. And so we had 2 from 2011, 2016-ish. 2016, 17, 18, 19, in those early years leading up there, one of our values is leadership development. So we would be investing in people, growing them, but they had no place to go. With only 2 stores, it was like kind of capped out at me as a general manager type role and a couple store leaders. So we were building people. They were growing in their abilities and leadership, but then they were going to other companies. And so that kind of perpetuated like, oh, shoot, maybe we should grow and add more locations. Talked to a real estate guy in the area. He began to identify some opportunities. And then every 3 to 4 months, we were launching a new spot. And the beautiful thing is we had this system of people who, instead of going to other organizations, now they were helping to grow our organization. store 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 8, leading up to maybe about 6 months before the pandemic hit. And then, you think about it, all of our resources were reinvested into the growth of the business and the people. We hit a screeching halt, and it was wild during that time. Drew, I love what you said too. When you scale any business, you scale the good with the bad. And we had spent, before we grew, we spent a season with a kind of a mantra that we would say internally, better before bigger. We would just live in that idea.
I love that. That's great.
I mean, better before bigger, better before bigger, better as an individual before we grow bigger, better as a brand before we grow bigger, better in our marketing, better in our systems, better in our communication, better was the driving force in everything we did, because we really just believe this idea that as we become better, or if we become better, then it's our customers that will demand that we get bigger, right? Better before bigger. And this is a concept that, like, the story kind of goes through the Chick-fil-A stuff and is told in that realm. But man, we put that principle into practice and it worked. Anybody that's listening right now, just take a moment and just ask yourself, how can I become better? So goes the leader, so goes the business, right? And just you'll know. I mean, all of us know our shortcomings and our areas of weakness where we need to work on, but it's worth it. Invest in yourself. When the leader becomes better, everyone around the leader gets better. The community gets better. And it was never about growing bigger for bigger's sake. It was that we really believe what we offer at Anthem, our mission is heroic hospitality. And we really believe that we can impact and influence communities with that notion. It could change the world, man. Heroic hospitality, not just this phony vending machine type experience, where you just pop your money in, press A7 and grab a little Snickers bar out. We teach our people to interact and connect and create unique experiences that potentially could change someone's course of life, just like my parents had changed the course of life for those that they fostered and adopted. And that's that principle. That idea, that mission of heroic hospitality stems from what my parents did, giving somebody a last name and a forever home.
Dude, I love that. And that's so ridiculously important. For anyone who's listening, like that, we're so connected, and that's in air quotes, but that interpersonal connection you get with humans when you're standing in front of someone, having a conversation, having a dialogue, being able to connect with the people around you is so important. And it feels like in a world of connectivity, we're losing a lot of that, that interpersonal just connectivity that kind of brings us all together and really, like you said, really can make a huge difference, a huge impact in a community, in a city, in a nation. You know what I mean? Like it kind of extrapolates out.
Major ripple effect.
Yeah.
And it's a lost art. Hospitality has been something that, especially even through COVID, that desire to be in community and connect with people. Our coffee shops, they're not double-sided drive-throughs. I'd love to have hundreds of them, to be honest, that'd be great. But what our mission is, what we're driven by, is creating these spaces for people to connect, fall in love with each other, create businesses, create bands, be inspired. And so we lost all of that in the middle of COVID. We closed our doors even for 45 days.
Wow. Lost
all kinds of momentum and traction. And for, double-sided drive-through coffee stands were up 70, 80% in sales. And we're just kind of going, holy smokes, can we even bounce back from this? And, we really leaned on the power of collaboration. We were talking about that kind of earlier, just about collabing with businesses. And we figured, man, to get people to come back into our spaces, we realize there's all these small pop-up shops and business owners that don't have a place to sell their products. So let's just, since we have these huge cafes, let's kind of create like a local merchant market, and as many of them as we can. And it helped us save and sustain some little small businesses. It helped us save our business, because you think if they're doing a pop-up shop inside of our lobbies, we have all our doors open and it's all breathing and all that, but it brought new business, new customers, and it kept us all alive. So now we're thriving again. We were in this season of surviving for so long, and it's tough to come out of that mindset too sometimes. But that's been our new mantra. We did the better before bigger thing. Right now it's from surviving to thriving. And we're just leaning into what does it look like to thrive? We don't have to survive anymore. Now, how do we thrive? How do we grow? How do we expand, advance, impact, and influence new communities, and even especially the ones that we're already in? We're so blessed to have the spots that we have. And
man, so that's wild. So it sounds like you were crushing, and then COVID hit, and then you're like, holy smokes, this environment we're trying to create has been completely shut down.
Yep.
We can't do anything.
Screeching
So
halt.
you had to really kind of reinvent what you were doing. You had to bring in some local business owners, really collab with some people. Everyone was able to move past that moment where you were like, holy smokes, we might lose this, right? Because I mean, that's always probably something in the back of your head. Like, how do we continue to survive?
Man.
And then boom, you come out of it and you're like, okay, it's time to thrive now. We need to get out of that mindset. We need growth. Something that's very, very cool that I'm hearing though is like you have a blueprint, and it feels like a lot of business owners don't ever get to the point where they have that blueprint to where they can thrive and can expand. So maybe you can tell us a little bit on how you got to the point where you created that blueprint and now you're able to execute on what you created. Because it feels like that's a piece that a lot of people miss. It's just, okay, I'm here, I got the coffee shop, or I'm here, I open my business. Now what?
Wow, man, the blueprint, that's so smart. And so many businesses operate without a blueprint. And it's just kind of, they become all things to all people. They just, go with the flow, kind of whatever feels right. And ultimately that's wrong. You start this business with this wide-eyed wonder, and it's going to be amazing and everything you ever hoped for and wanted, and only to realize that you're getting slung around like a rag doll and beat up every day. I always say that, business is a full contact sport. And it's not for the faint of heart. And truthfully, there was a season that I experienced this thing called burnout, right? Burnout's just this prolonged abnormal stress that affects your kind of spiritual, mental, physical, everything, dude. I was a mess. And I just froze up one day. I ended up taking 30 days off from work. And fortunately, I was allowed that. And I was able to go back and recalibrate, be a human again instead of, or a human being versus being a human doing. I was in this cycle of just opening the shop, closing the shop, just Walking Dead before even the show even existed. I was a zombie and I was a mess. And no one's designed to do that, to work so hard that you just burn completely out. The reason I burnt out was because I didn't have guiding principles in place. I didn't have mission, vision, values. I didn't have a blueprint for what success looked like. And during that burnout season, I remember I took a trip down to Bend, Oregon, craft beer capital of the world. Love Bend. And my wife just said, go do something to refresh yourself and recharge. And took my bike down there and pedaled around the town and just began to kind of like listen to this, the sounds and view the sights and spend time pondering when I go back, how can I be different? How can I do this differently? Because the pace that I've been running at isn't sustainable. And, a mentor had said for years, Bryan, you got to have a mission statement, man. You got to get something on paper on purpose in a sober minded moment, not when you're waxed or taxed from going, that will help guide your decision-making, that will help kind of pull you back to, your true north or whatever. I didn't get it, man. And what's crazy is for 5 years straight, we experienced great success. And success led to my downfall or potential failure, right? Like I didn't have a healthy set of guiding principles that would help me in a weary time. So I woke up one night while I was down in Bend. I'm starting to get refreshed, and I just hammer out this mission statement. And then I began to hammer out these values. And the way I came up with those was just by thinking about what I did in the past that led to success. What behaviors did I demonstrate that led to success? When I was doing this, or when as a team we were doing that, what was it? How do I define that language? And so if you look at our website now, in fact, I'm working on a book called Heroic Hospitality, which is our mission. And then there's 12 chapters of the book, and every one of them unpacks a value that is a guiding principle in our world. And it helps us, for every decision that we make, who to hire, how to hire, every process that we make, every vendor that we partner with, every product even that we roll out, we funnel through these guiding principles and it spits out an answer for us. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's been life-changing. That's the blueprint that you're talking about. I call, or it's a game plan, or it's a business plan. And it's so funny when, you're filing paperwork with the state, to open a business. They ask for a business plan, and they ask, what's your mission and vision and values? And I just think none of us give that the merit that it deserves. A lot of times businesses will have a cool, fancy mission statement or vision or values, but it lives on a wall as like a little ornament or some fancy saying, but it doesn't drive the beliefs or the behaviors. And that's what needs to happen in an organization. Beliefs drive behaviors. And so we actually have every single person on our team memorize the mission statement so that they flesh out the mission that we want to see accomplished day in and day out. You follow?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They memorize it, bro.
I think that's really good too. If you don't have one, and then you're like, oh, I should make one. Instead of creating something that sounds good, that sounds snappy, can I actually funnel a question through my mission statement to spit out an answer? You know what I mean? Is it not just the words on a page? Can I actually use this as a guiding principle to, okay, there's this, we're thinking about making this decision. Well, does it match up with our beliefs? Does it match up with our mission statement?
Exactly.
And then you have an answer.
Oh, it's been so helpful, and it's saved us so much drama. And sometimes, here's the deal. I wrote these things not to just hold my company or team members accountable, like it holds me accountable. Sometimes I want to go a certain direction, and then I got team members going, hey, but what about that? Does it line up here? Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just reread the book, The One Thing. Have you ever read that book?
Love that book.
Love that book. And in the book, I'm going to butcher it, but he alludes to this part of Alice in Wonderland where a character says, which way do I go? And he says, well, that all depends on where you're trying to go. And he really,
So good.
I don't know why, but this time around, that one really resonated with me. My wife and I have a goal setting retreat every November or December where we talk about what we want to do next year. And it's really important because sometimes we sit down the first day and we find that we are not aligned, which is like, oh, no wonder we've kind of grown apart, because if her goal is here and my goal is here, we're schisming, right?
Right.
Is that schisming a word?
I love the word.
It is now. Let's go.
It is now.
We're schisming, and we think we're going towards the same goal, but we don't realize why we're drifting apart. Not even like drifting apart.
No, and
like,
it's just a slight little angle off.
Exactly. I mean, what's that whole saying about, like, if an airplane is off by like 1 degree and over 400 miles, they'll be, you get it. I don't know the exact.
No.
But
Off course.
If you're off course, just a hair. You can end up just hundreds of miles away from your destination. So having that due north is so important. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, we get so busy with the monotony of the day to day, and we don't spend enough time going back to, like, what am I about? And I think that's such a great lesson that I'm already taking away from this conversation, is like, go back to like the basics and what is your business about?
We have to ask that question. We have to be self-aware and remind ourselves, what am I doing this for? Or where am I going? I think that's a fair question. If you're listening to this right now, hit pause, but answer this question for yourself and go, what's a worthwhile pursuit in my life? What am I chasing after? What do I want to accomplish? And just begin to think about that. Write some notes about it. We can't just be spinning wheels, and just kind of existing. It's got to be driven by something meaningful, mission-driven, and important, right?
So how would you coach someone who is, sitting at their desk like, all right, what am I about? And they just have that writer's block.
Yeah.
Do they go to ChatGPT and say, what's my mission statement?
That's a great place to start. Yeah. Or they can go to Bryan, businesscoachbryan.com. Go to businesscoachbryan.com. I actually have a questionnaire there that is the very first place that I start with anybody that I would potentially coach. What's helpful about it is as they answer these questions, I can see Max is over here. Producer Max, shout out. He's diving in deep real quick. He's checking it out. There's all these questions prompt this self-discovery, this realization. I'm asking questions like, what are 5 nice things somebody has said about you or your organization? That causes them to think for a second about that, right? What is it that you want, to set out to accomplish through your company? It goes on. There's several prompting questions that the goal is to get someone to think about and realize what I want, where I'm at, and then the last question I ask is list 10 pain points. And I go, don't skimp out. Like, you actually write 10 pain points, problems that you're facing, or grief, frustrating things that you want help with. And when somebody can articulate those things, it's like, okay, those things have held you back from being able to get where you want to go. So we start with the pain points. We start addressing those and tackling one by one, like the dominoes and the one thing, right? And that begins to, we don't realize how much we're carrying around, or how many things are pulling us back from where it is we want to go. And a lot of us are adverse to wanting to even try to handle problems, because nobody loves crunchy conversations. Nobody loves to have to possibly fire their marketing director because they've just been coasting. It's a big realization that my organization right now, I'm not happy with it. I don't know why, but what I help people do is help them realize that they're the problem. But they're also the solution. And that's the empowering thing about it. That's the cool thing. I've gone through this process. I'm a practitioner of everything that I teach and talk about. It's not just theory. It's not something I read in a book. It's tried and true. Anthem's the laboratory, man. Anthem and the team members that I lead, and the problems that we solve and run to daily, it's the lab. We try this stuff and it works. So nothing gets me out of bed faster than getting to help leaders realize their actual full potential and their ability, to overcome the things that are holding them back and keeping them stuck.
Yeah, I love that too. I don't know who actually, as per usual, Isaac, I don't know who actually said this, but it's become one of my kind of guiding principles. Easy conversations, hard life. Hard conversations, easy life. And I think that is applied almost most importantly to yourself. You need to be able to have those hard conversations with yourself and okay, man, you're the problem here.
Yeah, bro.
And you can sit here and you can lie to yourself. You can blame everyone else.
Come on,
or you
teach
can
us,
say,
Drew.
Hey, man, like, this is me. I need to fix something.
Yeah,
So I think
it's
it's
really
Jocko.
great.
I think it's an extreme ownership.
Maybe, but I think he got it from.
Oh, yeah.
I think he got it from something. But I love.
It's powerful,
Jocko stuff.
and we don't spend enough time addressing our real selves, right? Or looking in the mirror, going, how do I become better before bigger? And that's
absolutely.
the thing. It's like, man, none of us have arrived. We're all a work in progress. We're all shanking golf shots off to the left into the water. Just the sooner you could come to grips with that it's not perfection. It's progress, or it's just moving the needle just slightly every day. I got into this thought process for the longest time where I felt like I had to move the business forward by 7 feet every day instead of just a quarter of an inch every single day. And that's what success is, you guys. It's stacking up little tiny wins over time. That's what equals success.
That's probably why you like golf so much, because that's what golf is.
Bro,
it's just getting a stroke better.
Little tiny win.
Yeah.
It's that
just
one
putt
shot
better.
in your
that
89
one shot.
shots
Yeah.
that goes, this is, I come back and
I
do
bet
this
there's
again.
a correlation there between your love of business
time.
in general and seeing the correlation there between that and golf. Golf is
It's
such
growth.
a little tweaks.
I'm obsessed with growth. I really am. I love to see growth in myself, growth in others, growth in organizations. It's a measurable thing. Golf is a measurable thing. Business is a measurable thing. Even personal growth and success, it's measurable. Make it measurable. I have this. I have a dear friend of mine. Just met with him this morning. Every Thursday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the last decade. My boy Roger Stanton. Shout out to him. We meet. We drink coffee. It's a good time, and we go through these 5 focus areas in our lives. We kind of ask the question of ourselves, how's your soul or your spirit, right? How's your self? Are you working out, sleeping well, eating well, all that jazz? How's the relationships that matter most in your life? How's work and your work ethic, or, your job? Are you advancing, or are you just kind of coasting? And how's your finances? Kind of these are the 5 most important areas. I mean, in the book, The One Thing, I think there's 7 areas where you're supposed to set goals and things like that in. We just simplified it because we got 5 of these things. Kind of made it easier and for time, 2 hours. We go through these, we just kind of, and we tell on ourselves and we share where we're at, and it's just amazing to have that sounding board. And really that has been an aid in my life to help me become better. As I'm sharing things, he might go, hey man, I'm hearing you say this kind of, and I see, you might want to adjust how you're talking to your wife, like it, or whatever the thing might be. And he's got full permission. Like it's taken years to build this trust. But man, that accountability has kept me from, just being an idiot, to be honest.
Yeah.
And still make mistakes, of course, all the time. But it's amazing to have that sounding board, that mirror, if you will, to kind of, he holds it up and I hold it up for him and we just become better.
That's awesome. And what I keep hearing is it all starts, with when the man in the mirror. It all starts with you. I was just listening to a podcast with Jordan Peterson. He said he gets this question. He hates this question where people say, how do I find the perfect woman? And he says, that's a dumb question. The better question is, how do you become the person that the perfect woman will find? And it like really resonated with me. And I was like, that can be taken to any business. So like for me, it's like, how do I find, a buyer or a seller in real estate? Well, it's like, how do I be such a great real estate agent that they just come to me? How do I become the best coffee shop that everyone just comes to me? How do I become the best podcast producer that everybody wants to, hire me, Max? And it was just, I don't know, it really resonated with me as like, I mean, he used it for finding your partner, but you can use that in so many areas of your life.
Oh, it's so good. Man, I'm learning. I'm drinking this in, you guys.
I love these conversations. This is why we started this podcast, man. We love this.
One of the best parts of the podcast is being able to chop it up with local business owners, being able to learn from each other. This is great. This is awesome. This is why we do it.
So let's talk about your business coaching. I mean, I was kind of thinking we'd talk about Anthem all day, but I'm super fascinated by business coaching. I think that's so cool. How'd you get into that? When'd you get into that? And tell us more about it.
Yeah, the very first opportunity I had was a local coffee creperie that wanted to launch. Dr. Dagan in Sumner, he came to me and was like, hey man, could you help me? Can you consult with me to help me launch a coffee business in the sister city of Puyallup in Sumner? So Craft 19, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or been there. It's a cool little cafe and creperie.
It's just right downtown, right?
Yeah. Beautiful little spot, really cool design and build out. And I kind of got my chops on being able to come in and go, extract from Dr. Dagan what it is he wanted to create for the community there. And so through the process, I mean, same questions. I had him run through those business questionnaire questions. I got clarity, helped him get clarity on what it is he wanted to execute. We started with building guiding principles before his business even existed. Because again, in a sober-minded moment is when you want to say, this is what my business is about. Because we're actually going to build the brand, the way it looks, the colors, the style of the place, based on what your answers are, right? So we spent so much time in there designing the brand to reflect the heart of Craft 19. What not many people realize is Craft 19, the reason for 19 is it's 19 grams of perfection, meaning 19 grams of coffee in the espresso. And then this idea of craft creperie, craft coffee, the whole deal. So there's so much intention and heart behind it. But more than that, it was getting to work with that leader, help him to articulate his vision and then see it come to life. All those guiding principles helped to inform who we hired for him. This was a 6-month endeavor. He launched and went further faster. What took us a lot of years to get where we got, I was able to help him go boom. And that began, I was like, dang, this is cool. Then we created this thing called Anthem Coffee School. And we had people flying in from all over the U.S. to take part of our 3-day deep dive into all things coffee to build successful coffee businesses.
Wow.
Which then created opportunities in other, business outside of coffee to coach people, to consult with companies, everything from med spas to real estate, mortgage broker. I mean, anything, any business, because it's the principles and the plan behind it all. I don't need to be an expert in every single field, but I became an expert in building something intentionally by design with a game plan in the form of guiding principles, and then how to build people, how to build teams, how to build brand. Those are the things that I'm most passionate about. And just seeing people enjoy business again. You know, they say it's the American dream, right? To own your own business, but so many businesses own their owners, and you get run ragged, and it becomes this jail sentence, and a job instead of a joy. It should be a joy. So much joy can come from running a business the right way, and that's ultimately what I want to help people do through business coaching. So it's less about like, hey, you're doing a great job. And I'm on the sidelines like going, great job there. You know, it's literally, I have access as a coach. I think about my baseball coach growing up. He would see every fault. I mean, every swing where I'm swinging for the fences and not trying to help the team hit a base hit to the right side of the field. And he would coach me in a loving way, like owning, helping me to even own my mistakes or my when I'm trying to strive for myself to be famous as a baseball player or whatever. He would go, no. It's about the team. You got to be a team player. As a coach has unique access to your life and can correct and help sharpen your skills. And that's really the crux and the heart of what I do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think it's like you said, it's base hits, not home runs, not trying to get it all back on one shot. You hit your golf ball into the woods and don't try and squeeze it through that tiny window. Just punch out.
Guys,
live to fight another hole.
So much about mindset, so much about leadership and toughness and just, And you got to learn to celebrate even the tiny wins, the times that you do hit the ball straight. Celebrate it and go, what did I do? And how can I do more of that? And that's the game of business, of life, of golf. I love it.
We do too. Yeah, I think that there's something to be said too about golf, right? I just started thinking about something you said, think about why you did that. Sometimes, especially when even now, because I'm not a great golfer, I'm pretty sure I just got lucky. One at 100 are going to go straight, but it's really that, working at the driving range, working on your putting, working at your chipping, the consistency to where in your head, that wasn't luck. That was me putting into practice something that I've been working on for a long time. And I think that as a business coach, right, that's really what you're trying to instill in people is that repetition of, okay, if you keep doing this the right way, you're going to know you didn't get lucky this month. This was just applied practice into your actual business. Drew, so I think it's really great as like a golf analogy, because sometimes you're like, man, did I get lucky? No, that was the thousands of hours that I've been practicing to get to this point right now. And this is what success looks like. Lots and lots of hours of banging on your craft.
You nailed it. And it's the process that we need to fall in love with once again. The process, not the product or the end result. We're all of us are consumed with I want the strong body. Trust me, I got a dad bod, dude. I'm 40, just turned 40. I want the physique, but am I willing to put in the time? Do I love the pain of the process? And that's what we need to fall in love with again. It's just loving the reps, the hard work. That is the journey. The journey is what we need to love, not the destination.
Yeah.
Because then, it's like once you hit that what's next? We need to fall in love with journeying again.
Well, and the destination is something that is, in some ways, almost out of your control. Like I tell when I mentor new agents, I tell them everybody likes to come in and put on the whiteboard how many closings they want this year. And they always say 12 because that's easy.
One a month.
One a month. I'm not saying it's easy to do 12. It's just an easy number to, one a month. There we go.
Quantify, yeah.
But I say, okay, that's cool. Like we can, that can be a motivating number for you. But what are we going to do to get there? Because that's out of your control. But what's in your control is how many calls are you going to make per day?
Oh my gosh.
Right? What marketing are you going to do? And then let's commit to it. Right? What time are you going to start prospecting every single day? Or how many days? Is 3 days a week? That's fine. But what time? And then commit to it. And then when you do it, check. success, you had a successful day. If you don't get a closing out of that, you still had a successful day. And like you said, Drew, just going to the it's just going to the driving range. You know, you may have a terrible day at driving range, but you did get a step further. You just you don't see the sprouts yet. You know, you planted the seeds and it's just taking time.
Man, what you're saying is some people that are listening right now, this might be a good time to redefine what success looks like for this new season in your life or wherever you're at. You know, you nailed it. Success might just look like showing up Tuesdays and Thursdays, making 12 calls a day. That's success. Celebrate that.
Right.
Maybe nothing comes from it, but you got to control what you could control. Activity, right? Now, the results, they'll come. It's because it's a numbers game a lot of time, right? But just you got to do the hard work. You got to show up and just get after it.
And that's how you avoid burnout too. If success is a 6-pack, you're going to get burnout before you have a 6-pack.
Oh, no
but
shot.
If success is doing 50 sit-ups a day,
come on,
then you'll be
10 minutes on a bike.
You can do it. You can do that, but you can't have a 6-pack tomorrow. You got to keep doing the successful. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I know.
But I want to impress my boo.
Yeah, it's a little more than probably 50 sit-ups
It's
a day.
a giant keg is what it is.
Oh, man.
Love donuts.
What advice do you have to somebody who's right now? I mean, I guess you've already given a lot of advice, but if you had like just one piece of advice for somebody who, you know, has a business, whether they're an entrepreneur or they're, you know, just they own a business and they're at that point that you were a few years ago, and you had to go take 30 days off. What advice do you have for them to like get out of their own way, sit down, and like where do they start? Besides going to your website. I would honestly just say, carve out 1 hour, put it on your calendar, and go disrupt your own life. You know, disrupt the rhythm of your workday, and call that 1 hour time frame a personal time. Just say, I'm going to go sit in a park, you know, go for a walk, whatever it is, and reflect. Do I like how things are going in my life right now? And just ask yourself that one question. And it leads you to places, you know, to be alone with your thoughts and kind of consider, do I like how things are going right now? It reveals a lot. And it highlights some things that you're like, man, maybe I need to have a difficult conversation with someone. Or maybe I do need to actually start training and working out on a regular basis. Or I would say start there, because it's easy to just bury, you know, the realities of where we're at in busyness. But every one of us has such unique skills and abilities and things that can just benefit and bless the world around us. You owe it to yourself to kind of shed the funk, shed the stuff that's holding you back from being the best version of you, and wrestle with it. And then find somebody, share with someone you trust the thing that you're going to start working on. It's just incremental, little tiny changes, little tiny W's in certain areas of your life stacked up over time that equal a successful life. So pick something and get a little bit better at it. And I think that accountability is huge.
And accountability is everything, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, because for me, it's so much easier to lie to myself than it is to lie to somebody else.
We give ourselves a pass all day long.
Yeah. I can say, I didn't do it because, dude, you had a hard day. Like, it's okay. Yeah. But if if I have to go to Drew over here and tell him I didn't do it, then I know there's no excuses, right?
Yeah. And it works wonderfully both ways too. And then you just start to see each other rise, because with that, like I mentioned, that every week. I don't want to come back to the table with Roger at 6 a.m. and go, I didn't do anything this week. Just kind of existed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That sucks, dude. And so, accountability is big.
You find a partner who's not going to let you off the hook.
Amen.
Too. It can't be your wife. Like, for me, at least.
No, for sure.
My wife's too supportive and sweet and amazing. And she'll be like, hey, it's okay. You had a hard week. The kids were up all night. It's like, I don't need that. I need someone who's going to say, no excuses. Get back to work. You're better than that.
That's exactly it, bro.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, right? Just finding that person who's not going to let you off the hook. You know what I mean? Who's going to be hard and is going to say, listen, bro, were you really busy? Or did you just have a little bit too much to drink the night before?
Yeah.
Were you really busy? Wow. Or did you just stay?
Drew, go ahead. Read his mail. Read his mail.
Do that in confidence.
No. There's been we go back and forth on a lot of this stuff, because I know that Isaac truly wants me to succeed.
Yeah.
When I come in and say, hey man, this happened to me, he's not like, God dang it.
Yeah.
It's happening to him, not me. He's like, yes, that's what I'm talking about, baby. You know, he gets excited for me. And I know that, you know, also if I come in and he's like, listen, bro, you got to be better in this area, you know? So it's really, really good to have that accountability and to make sure that you're utilizing it. You know, don't miss those accountability meetings.
Accountability creates thriving versus surviving in your life and just existing, dude. So it's worth it.
I love it.
This has been an amazing podcast. I know you got somewhere to be. So we got 4 questions that we ask at the end of every podcast. Yeah. So let's get to those. And if we have some more time at the end, then we'll sneak it in.
Let's do it.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. First question. If you were to start a new business unrelated to coffee and I guess unrelated to coaching.
Okay.
You got $20,000 in 6 months to get something rolling.
Mac and cheese, please, dude. I would launch my mac and cheese
business.
Hell yeah.
Food truck or whatever. Little mac and cheese, please. Am I right, Max? Max is smiling over here. That's what I'd call it. Yeah. My sister made this little jingle up because she goes like, mac and cheese, if you please, if you please, mac and cheese. And I was like, dude, mac and cheese, please. Like this concept, like a Chipotle kind of vibe. You pick the noodles, you pick the cheese sauce, you pick and the meats and the broccoli, whatever you want in your mac and cheese.
We're gonna have to cut this out because someone's gonna steal it.
No. You know what? Maybe we work together on it. Whoever's listening, looking for it. But yeah. Could you imagine? And then this perfect bowl of hot mac and cheese with all the toppings you want, bro.
Oh, man.
Dude, that is so good. You got like at the end, you got like the brisket if you want it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Endless. Hit it with the sauce. Boom. Hit it with the spicy. Hit it, whatever, dude.
And pasta and cheese is so cheap.
Oh, like man.
Your material cost is not going to be much.
That's what I do.
That's a killer one.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
I love that. We've had a few people say food trucks, but I love that food truck.
I think it would start that restaurant for sure. And maybe something I do in the future, or maybe somebody takes it. So congrats to you. And maybe I'll be coaching you later. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's fun. I love that question. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So second question, outside of the top, 50 business books of all time, is there a book that's really kind of impacted you on your journey in business?
Two come to mind immediately. Leadership. It's a book written by Dave Ramsey. Love this idea of entrepreneurship and leadership smashed together. Love like that. That really helped me to figure out, okay, guiding principles, mission, vision, value. It's important stuff. Amazing book.
Have you ever been to his Leadership conference?
I haven't. Have you?
Dude, I want to go so bad. My brother and I have almost gone a couple times.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go
we
together.
We might have to get a little crew together. Let's go.
Yeah. I've heard it's incredible.
It could be fire. No. Everything that they're doing, it works. It just works. Yeah. So I want to be around that. Second book is called Leading on Empty. And during my burnout phase, I read that book about a pastor's journey through burnout and the things he had to wrestle with and kind of figure out, and so much self-assessment and reflection and, how am I going to be different when I go back? And how am I going to do this thing differently? So yeah, those 2 books shaped my world.
I haven't heard the second one. Have you?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I'm gonna check
strong
that
book.
out.
Yeah, strong.
Okay.
They're quite strong.
Are you a reader or audiobook?
Audiobook.
Same here.
Same.
I always say I read, and
I do like to have the actual physical book, but I guarantee I haven't read it. Dude, I've listened to it, but I have the physical book.
I got the book. I got the book back behind me on my shelf, but I definitely listen to it.
Audiobook for days.
My wife always teases me because I say, "Oh yeah, I just read that book," and she's like, "No, he didn't."
He listened to it.
He listened to it, cheater. I mean, I get bored. I start reading, and I'm like,
"Oh, bro, I fall asleep." I get 2 pages. I mean, if I'm just still for 2. Oh, sorry. Back here.
Well, also, I'm sure you drive around to all your different shops and everything. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm driving from showing to showing, so I consume way more.
Gosh.
I mean, I've read over 20 books every year for the past 5 years because
I
listen to books. Yeah. Read. See, Max is doing it now. Max is like, read. Okay.
That's so good.
Okay, third question. You can take your whole family on a week vacation anywhere in the world, all paid for. Where would you go?
Whoa. I love Hawaii. I'd go to Waikiki Beach, bro. I think there's just something about the healing waters of the Hawaiian waters right there. I don't know, man. I've had some great experiences there over the years. 2 different times we visited there. And
is that your favorite island?
Waikiki Beach. It's the only one I've been to. Yeah, that's all I know. That's all I know.
Yeah, I love Hawaii, man. I went for the first time a few years ago, and I guess I kind of always like chalked it up to being like, well, being from Southern California, I'm like, whatever, we got beaches in Southern California, but there's something about being on an island, and just being surrounded by water, and the water's just different, man.
Dude, have you guys seen like the aerial views where it like makes the water invisible? Do you know what I mean? Like you're looking at Hawaii and you're like, oh my gosh, that is literally just the top of volcanoes. like if you just take away the water and you see the structures underneath the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of terrifying.
I need to see that. Yeah. That might make me change my answer.
But like you said, like I feel like maybe there's something intrinsically beautiful and majestic about being literally on the peaks of volcanoes.
That is wild.
There's probably some energy too. That's not yet explained,
the volcano,
right?
For sure.
Like there's something that like you feel, but you don't really know.
The rumbling of the deal, yeah. Oh, I remember we went snorkeling off the beach there, and my dad and I, you get your head down, you get swimming, maybe you get caught in a current. I don't know what happened. We're out there quite a ways, and we're looking down the water, and there's this humongous trench. It's like a full-on. Like it was carved out, which it was, come to find out, because as soon as we lifted up and looked up, we see like this little cruise ship coming in to dock in that little area and just freaked us out. So we just boom, getting back to shore as quick as we could. But I remember, you get so engulfed in that, the moment of all the coral and the fish swimming around. It was beautiful, man. Just big memories. And time stood still on those vacations.
Yeah. There's few
that
things
was the
more
pause
incredible.
button on life, dude.
Yeah, a few things more incredible than snorkeling for me.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's surreal. Like
Yep.
you're weightless,
And you're
just seeing
breathing and you're
beauty.
relaxed, dude.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just Hanama Bay, is that what it's called? In
Yeah.
Waikiki Beach?
Yep.
Or in
Yep. That's where we went. Yep.
yeah, so
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the so my wife and I scuba, and that's the closest thing.
Do you do it around here?
Extraterrestrial. We have, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is extraterrestrial, isn't it?
You go underwater.
whole
You take a tank of your own oxygen 100 feet under the ocean,
dude.
and you're looking at the things that survived.
I couldn't do it.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh,
it is insane. It is a ton
that
of
is
fun.
so
though.
fun. I need to stretch, or I need to get out of my comfort zone and try scuba diving sometime.
I've never done scuba diving, but I really want to.
Oh,
It's incredible.
That's
It's
awesome.
incredible. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So final question. So you don't have to believe in it, but
Yep.
what is your favorite conspiracy theory?
oh my goodness.
We are goofy and we love conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Oh man,
We struggled on this fourth question when we were coming up with this.
I
podcast for
love
a
this
while.
question.
Yeah,
I'm
we just
trying to
thought it was so fun to
trying to
like
think like,
hear like different ideas.
the one I've heard is the conspiracy theory about the airplanes that are shooting the stuff down.
Oh, yes,
what
the
are they called?
chemtrails.
Chemtrails.
Chemtrails,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've always been fascinated by airplanes. I'm like, first of all, how does an airplane stay in the air? I get it. It's interesting. How does it take off? How does it land? And then like not
So
kick sideways and anyway. But then the chemtrail thing, I'm like, are people really doing that to us?
This is why I love conspiracy theories, because it's so hilarious. And then you like watch.
But then you get like hooked. You kind of
Oh, you like start reading like some of this stuff, and you're like, no way. What?
And then you go back
be?
over you just go into Google real quick and type in conspiracy theories that turned out to be real. And then you're like, oh no, like what in 2050, what are we going to know about right now?
I know.
It's just it's a fun and terrible place to live. But
That's the one that comes to mind. What are some that guests have shared in the past?
we've had aliens, we've had
Moon landing
Elvis is
was
still
fake.
alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
the moon landing was fake. Which by the way,
It was. No, I'm just kidding.
no. I mean,
Where are you at on this?
100%.
That's another one. I'm thinking
100%.
because I've seen the shadows
So-
and I've seen the weird deal and
I think that we landed on the moon,
But the video.
but the video is completely fabricated.
That's what I think too.
But if we landed on the moon, why have we not gone
Why?
back?
Yeah. Well, that.
Or like, why was
I
it
struggle
one and
with
done?
that, too.
Why was it? Why are we not
Because I honestly, I think that the easiest answer to that question is there's really no purpose.
And it's dangerous.
But how do we know? Like you land there once, you know everything about the moon and the surface and the whole deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who
It's a
knows?
good question.
Good point. I mean, there's no money to be made going back to the moon. I think it was a show of force to begin with, not a show of force, but a show of like, look what we can do. And now that we did it, there's no money to be made going back to the moon.
So
that's just my thing.
I don't know, man. You do like a reality TV show on the moon. Tell me there's no money made. I'd be watching the crap
Survivor.
out of that.
Moon.
Yeah, dude.
Moon landing.
That's awesome. Say again. Say again.
Hey,
Yeah, or they're still
they
on
actually
the moon.
they actually this is so amazing, and the natural resources on the moon. We're going to build a civilization here, and no one is going to know about it, right? And so,
Dark side of the moon. You know? Who knows?
Can I ask one more question? I know we only have a couple minutes.
100%.
What is your mission statement? And because we didn't ask that, what is your mission statement? And then where do you see, like, what's your goal? Whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or a year from now, where do you see the Anthem Coffee going, and how does that tie into your mission statement today?
Thank you for that question. So our mission statement is: we create unique experiences that change lives and bring people back. We do this by loving and serving people, by preparing top-notch handcrafted food and beverages, and by creating an environment where real relationships are fostered. So that's the long-winded mission statement that I have every single person that gets onboarded to Anthem memorize. And we can look back and point at that to go, did we create a unique experience today? Did we make people want to come back? Are we serving top-notch handcrafted food and beverages? Is the environment that we create a place where real relationships can be fostered? Do you see how I can point back to it and identify whether or not we won that day or whether or not we're losing? I mentioned our mission being heroic hospitality. And that is our mission. And that's really our mission statement that I just rattled off, boiled down to 2 words. So it makes it easy to go, hey, how did we show heroic hospitality today as a team? I ask that question all the time to our team members just to reinforce that. And they tell stories, of all kinds of examples. And they get to be as free and do it uniquely. We create unique experiences. That means there's autonomy and freedom to kind of be you, unapologetically do you, but create an experience that makes somebody want to come back, a unique one, right? So that's fun to see how our team members do that in creative ways and unique ways that are special to them. I have a goal for 2030 to grow this company to revenue of 30 million. Right now, we're about 5 million in revenue. So we got some stores to add. We got some teams to build. We got some lives to impact along the way. It's gonna be a big push, but I'm so excited for it. Right now, I feel like every day is day one again. And there was a while back, Jeff Bezos wrote this article or a letter to team members at Amazon, something about this day one mentality. I think they even named a building Day One to just remind people that every day is day one. And that's truly how I feel right now. Like we're a startup 17 years into the game. And today we're trying to outdo what we did yesterday. Just get a little bit better. Just be a little bit more ahead of be a little bit more intentional. And I think that's how we're going to get where we want to go. It's not about trying to gain market share, be faster or first to market, or even looking at what all of our competitors are doing, because it's not about that. Well, we're only in competition with ourselves or how we did yesterday.
Yeah, that was the first you've mentioned competitors this whole podcast. You never once.
No, it's not about that. Yeah.
It's not.
Again, I'm a student of the game, so don't get me wrong. I mean, I look and see what other businesses are doing, not just coffee businesses, and I try to extract. Just as if I was watching golf, I'm watching what's their demeanor, what's their approach, how do they do? I'm learning. I'm just a student of the game of business, and that's it. Like I admire a job well done at any other coffee company or any tech company or any company for that matter. Like if I see something that's like, man, that could actually be a cool thing to implement in Anthem, we're going to do that. Whatever it takes to. Again, just to be able to deliver on our mission. We create unique experiences, change lives, love, serve people, top-notch handcrafted food and beverage, and just ultimately a cool place for relationships to be built, real relationships. That's why we exist.
That's awesome. You just made me think of something, just final thought. One of my favorite stories about how competition can not competition, but like, I guess competition can push us all to be better. We thought the 4-minute mile was impossible.
Yeah.
And then after I don't know any of the names, but after somebody ran a 4-minute mile, I believe 3 or 4 people did it that same year after him, which is like that. Everyone needs to sit down and think about that. That's incredible.
Oh my!
When you think about that,
even as
impossible.
You're challenging me. I'm going. What are the limiting beliefs that I have?
Right.
For me to even say 30 million guys, I've done some of the math on that. It's like that's 60 stores. I barely have 6 stores at this moment. I'm going, how in the world do we? But I get stuck there, right? And this is what happens in real time. We limit ourselves and our abilities instead of just going. That's a worthwhile endeavor, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get to that thing because I believe that could make a big difference in this world, you know? So let me reverse engineer where I am today from where it is I want to be. What do I need to do today to start making steps towards that?
Love it.
A worthwhile endeavor too. That's an important piece of the puzzle, you know, because once you kind of get that piece, this is worthwhile. Your brain's already working. Okay, we know this is what we want. Mm-hmm. How do we get there? You know, that's beautiful. I love that.
Man, this was a great podcast. I really enjoyed this.
Dude,
Thank you so much for joining us, man. It was great chopping it up, having the conversation.
This has been awesome. Honestly, and I don't think I've said this on the air. I'm going to say this on the air. Probably, and I've been on a lot of podcasts. I've done a lot of things. One of my favorite podcast interviews and just times, like the setting, the vibe, the questions. This was a blast, you guys. Thank you so much.
Well, can we conclude by you plugging your businesses one more time? If people want to learn more about your coaching and want to find Anthem, tell us about it.
You know, Anthem Coffee, you can find us on, it's at Anthem Coffee or myanthemcoffee.com. 7 locations here in the South Puget Sound and growing. 2 locations coming soon to West Phoenix, so stay tuned for that. And then businesscoachbryan.com. Go there. You can see some testimonials, a couple of videos of how I kind of do what I do. And then most importantly, fill out that questionnaire if you want to have a complimentary coaching call. I mean, I give those out all the time. You know, people always ask, hey, can I pick your brain? I'm always like, just first go there, do that thing at least for me so I know where you're at and what you're coming with. And then we'll do a complimentary coaching call. And then after that, if you want to go further, then boom, I'll submit a little, what do you call it? Just a bid, or not a bid. I'm not a contractor. I'll submit a proposal for what it would look like to work together in a business coaching relationship, and we'll go from there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you again. This has been a blast.
Guys, had a blast. Thank you so much, Isaac. Drew.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. And we all know you looking to get some coffee today. Go check out Anthem, grab yourself a cup of joe, hang out, enjoy the ambiance. If you like what you hear, check us out at the Chatter Network and anywhere you listen to podcasts. See y'all next time.